I would say one of the main purposes of a spreadsheet is to enter data into it. In this one, we're going to take a look at the different ways we can do data entry. And there are several ways that we're going to talk about. You have the manual data entry, you have AutoFill, you have the FillSeries, you have the AutoComplete, you have the Dropdown List, you have Ctrl+Enter, and finally you have Flash Fill. In preparation for this video, I made a workbook with several different worksheets that we're going to play with. Let's take a look first at the manual data entry. This is probably the one that you're most familiar with. This is actually entering information manually into a spreadsheet. So let's say, for example, I have a gradebook. I'm going to click on quiz 1 and I'm going to manually enter information. We'll give him a 100. I'm either going to hit the down arrow or the enter button. This will move me down one cell. So let me hit enter. Let me enter another grade, 95. I'm going to hit the down arrow this time. Let me enter, let's say, an 89. Enter. And we'll say 75 here. Enter. I could also go back up to 100 and go to the right. To do that, I would hit the tab button. So let me hit the tab button and we'll enter a number and then tab and then enter a number and then tab. The tab moves you to the right while the down arrow and enter moves you down. And again, it's just that simple to enter data through this method. The next type of data entry is the AutoFill. Microsoft Excel is trying to make your life easy. The manual data entry is the one that you probably have the most hands on. These other methods of data entry are there to kind of automate the process. So let's take a look at the AutoFill. This does what it says. It enters the data automatically. You enter the first value, then drag the fill handles to extend that series. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to highlight January and February. I'm going to go down here to the bottom right-hand corner in this one, and you can see that the cursor changes to the fill handles. I'm going to click on it and drag it out, and you can see below it gives me a preview of what's going to fill in when I release the cursor, the mouse button. And it autofills the rest of that series. Along the same lines as the autofill is the FillSeries. This is looking for a series of numbers that you're using. So in this worksheet, I have 2, 3, 4, and 5. What this means is I'm going to count by 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5. So let me enter in 2 values. I'm going to hit manually. I'm going to do this 2, hit enter to move down 1, 4. I'm then using my arrow keys to move around. Let's count by 3. So 3, 6. That's all I need, by the way, just those 2 numbers to create the series. 4, 8, 5, and 10. I'm going to highlight the 2 numbers in this series. I'm going to go down to the fill handles. I'm going to click and drag it down. And as you can see to the right, it's giving me a preview of what's going to happen if I let go of the mouse button. Same thing with 3s. Now let me save a little time here. I'm going to highlight both of them and drag them down. And as you can see, it also filled in that series. But here's something else you can do. Let me highlight all of these and scroll down. And it continues the chain. It continues the series. I can also drag this to the right. And what that's picking up is it's picking up the series going this way. This is what you saw me do in several videos in the last unit, where I needed to enter numbers fairly quickly to just show you how to do something. The next one is AutoComplete. What AutoComplete does is it's looking for a pattern. It's trying to finish something off for you. Probably the best way to explain AutoComplete is simply by using a Google or Bing search. As you're doing your search in Google or Bing, as you start typing in the first few letters, it tries to guess what you want. It's trying to shorten up your time. Also, you might have this as far as text messaging, where you start to enter a text message and it tries to autocomplete that information for you. Well, with AutoComplete in Microsoft Excel, it's looking for commonalities down columns. So for example, I have 4 different last names entered. One begins with a B, one begins with an F, D, and an M. I think you get the point there. I am going to enter another name. As you see, it goes, oh, F, we already have something in this column with the value of F in front. Is this what you want? Well, no, I want to enter a different name. I'm going to enter Ford, and I'm going to hit enter. Now notice if I go over to this column and I try the same thing, it doesn't try to autocomplete because there's nothing here. This isn't here. So it doesn't pick that up. But yet if I go back over here, it should try to autocomplete because it's like, okay, we get it. This is a chain that you're doing. So this is autocomplete. Again, it's going to work along down the column that you're in. Autocomplete could be turned off or turned on, by the way, in advanced options. Let me show you how to get there really quickly. You want to get to the backstage area. So if you remember from previous videos, we go to File. Now we're going to go to Options. We're going to look for Advanced, and we're looking at Editing Options. And right here is the Autocomplete. So this is where you can turn it off or on. Notice right underneath there is something called Flash Fill. We're going to play with Flash Fill in just a few moments. Let me close out of this. And let's go now to the dropdown. The dropdown list, you can create a list of values that you want to include in a dropdown list. You're going to select all the cells that you're going to use the dropdown value. So here what we have is a list of customer names. And we want to put in what state that they live in. But instead of writing every state in here, we can create a drop-down menu for this. This is good if you want to limit results or answers or input to a specified series of values that you want. Now, it does require a little setup ahead of time. So I've created 2 worksheets. I've created this one called drop-down, and the next one is just a few states that I added. I am now going to highlight where I want that information to be entered into. So I'm looking at ultimately where I want the drop-down menu to exist. So I'm highlighting right here. I'm then going to go to the Data tab, click on the Data tab, and I'm looking for Data Validation. I can either click directly on there, or I can click the drop-down and go to Data Validation. That's ultimately what we're looking for. We're looking for Data Validation. Click on that. A dialog box pops up like this that says Settings, Input, etc., etc. I want specifically a list. I want a list of information. I want a drop-down list. So I'm going to click on the drop-down button. I'm going to select List. It then is asking me for a source. Where are you pulling this information from? Where is this drop-down information coming from? I'm going to click on the worksheet that I have that information on. Notice this stays the same, but it also added the name of the worksheet. And this is a variable. We'll talk about variables in another unit. I'm going to highlight the states I want to include. I'm then going to go to Input Message, Title. What's the input message? Notice now, when I click on these, there's that little drop down to the right. So what were the states we chose from? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 states to pick from. We go to drop down and I can select any of those states that I pulled. So the drop downs are very handy if, again, you want to limit the results to certain information, if you want to limit the input information. But like I said, it does require a little setup. It doesn't have to be on a separate worksheet, by the way. You can have easily put this information on the same worksheet. The Control and Enter is good when you want all the cells to contain the same information. What we're going to do is we're going to select everywhere that I want this particular information repeated. So this thing that says repeat this, I want this information repeated throughout this worksheet. I'm going to select all of this. I am then going to enter the data in the active cell. Let me type in, and I'm going to hit Control and Enter. And it repeated that information into every cell. Flash Fill is an interesting one. Flash Fill will try to figure out if there's a pattern between other cells in a column. For example, we have this worksheet that has last name, first name, and full. We want to put the full name in here. So I'm going to go to this one and I'm going to type in the full name. Notice that it picked up. I was like, okay, wait a minute. You have these values in column A, you have these values in column B, and in column C, you're putting together columns A and B, but except you're putting them together in column B and then column A. So it's finding the pattern. It's like, look, you have values in A, you have values in B, and it looks like you're trying to combine those values in C. So it picks up the fact that you're doing this. It picks up that you're trying this series out. All I did was hit tab, and as you saw, it auto-completed that row. Again, very, very helpful, very, very handy. It's looking for patterns, and that is called flash fill. The next one is replacing data. Replacing data is fairly simple to do. You're just changing information. It's like manually entering data, except you're just changing one or two little things. So here I have a grade book. You saw this grade book back when I did the manual information, but I've got different values here. So here are the values. Let's say this is a completed grade book, and Bill decides to take quiz 1 over again. He's going to get a better grade on quiz 1. So he takes the quiz again and he gets a 100. It's just as simply as picking that cell and typing in the number. Hit enter and it changes the value. Let's say that I did that to the wrong one. Let's say I put 100 over here and I go, oh wait, no. That was the wrong area. That wasn't him that took it. It was Bill. It wasn't Jerry. In order to cancel that out, all I got to do is hit the escape button and it cancels out that change while I'm still in the cell. If I exit out of that cell, it keeps the change. But that also brings up another point, which is the undo and redo. Let's continue to take a look at this worksheet. Let's say that I accidentally gave him the 100, and instead of hitting escape, I hit enter. Well, that 100 is now set there. I want to undo this. If you've ever used any Office products, it's the universal undo. It's the Ctrl+Z. Ctrl+Z will undo that change. You could have also gone up to here and undone it as well. Notice this one, it says undo. If I want to redo that, I can also go up here and click redo, or simply hit Ctrl+Y. Ctrl+Y is redo, Ctrl+Z is undo. Redo, undo, redo, undo.